Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Works meeting for today, the 16th of May. I'm Brenda Fincher, Chair of the committee, and I have with me Council Members Seth Winter-Core and Marley Larimer. We also have with us Director of Public Works, Chad Barron, and keeping every word that we say practically, we have Karen Bays over there. So, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
No changes to the agenda. That means we are ready for a motion.
Chair, I move to approve the minutes dated May 1st, 2023.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from May 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. The minutes are approved from May 1st, and we are on to listen to Dave Brock talk about the Lake Meridian Water District Franchise Agreement. Amendment.
Three agreements this afternoon. Dave Brock, Deputy Public Works Director, responsible for the Operations and Maintenance Division. Staff have worked between the Water District and the city for the better part of a year on this, what's referred to as a package of agreements with Lake Meridian Water District. And these encompass a franchise amendment, a service area boundary adjustment, a property use and easement agreement before you today as a package for consideration. And concurrently to this, the Water District staff are also presenting these to their board to move these forward for action. What you're looking at is a map, and this is for the franchise amendment. And in this graphic, the city limits are shown in the heavy blue line around the perimeter of the slide, and there's interior shading of the slide, and the different water systems that serve the Kent residents are shown within that shading. Lake Meridian Water District is located in the southeast portion of the city near Lake Meridian, hence the name. The district currently has a franchise with the city where they have infrastructure in right-of-way that's governed by the city, and that franchise was provided in 2017, had a 10-year term with one 5-year renewal allowable by that franchise. As part of the negotiations, the district has an interest in a longer term franchise, and so the franchise amendment before you contains a 20-year term with one 5-year amendment, and that it also captures the name change that the district underwent. Formerly, you may recall the district was Water District 111, and in 2019 they did a formal name change, so it captures that name change as part of this amendment. All of the other terms and conditions of that franchise that was negotiated in 2017 are still within the franchise, and the longer duration of that franchise is being negotiated and made in exchange for what is a service area boundary adjustment. And so this graphic shows an aerial photo, the heavy black north-south line that's kind of generally in alignment 124th is the water service area boundary between the City of Kent and Lake Meridian Water District near Clark Lake Park. So Clark Lake Park is the yellow or greenish shaded area. Service area boundaries were adopted in 1977 as part of the Coordinated Water System Plan. And since that time, we have made some small adjustments to that service area boundary with Lake Meridian Water and bringing forth another one today. I should point out the other parcel on the graphic in pink. You see an acronym, KEHOC, that is the Kent East Hill Operations Center, site located southeast of the intersection of 124th Avenue Southeast and Southeast 248th Street. And that is essentially an East Hill maintenance and operation facility that's being designed currently for the utilization by 3 city departments. So the boundary adjustment that we bring forth today is really shown in red. And this service area boundary adjustment connects where the black line connects with the red line on 124th Avenue Southeast and really brings the KEHOC property assemblage as well as the remainder of Clark Lake Park into the City of Kent water service area. I want to add a little more data to this map. What's being added to the map, you'll see to the left the Kent water system infrastructure. It's shown in blue. Those are the water mains underground, and then Lake Meridian's Water District's water mains are shown in orange off to the right. As you'll see, it kind of adds to the rationale of why we're doing the service area boundary adjustment as part of the construction of the 640 reservoir, which is located at the southern end of the Keehawk property. Water main improvements were made by the city along 248th Street and into the Keehawk property. And this service area boundary adjustment really allows the city to capitalize on that infrastructure that's been installed both for the Keehawk project as well as any future development within Clark Lake Park where park amenities would need a water supply. And then the last agreement that's part of this package pertains to the city's 3.5 million gallon tank site. The tank site is shown with the blue line. This is the parcel for the 3.5 million gallon tank. It's located east of 124th Avenue Southeast, and then northerly street is southeast 286th Street. Off to the left, if it was on the graphic, this is the Bridges development, kind of off to the left. So it's in the southern portion, or just south of the city of Kent proper. This site has a 3.5 million gallon tank central to the site. Point of history, kind of interesting, that tank, when it was constructed, was actually a jointly owned tank with the city of Kent and Lake Meridian Water District, then Water District 111. In 1991, the district determined they no longer needed the capacity interest in that tank, so they had owned 43%, and the city purchased that 43% capacity interest as well as the remaining underlying property rights. As part of that agreement, it's referred to as the 1991 agreement. You'll see it on the graphic there. The southwest portion of the site, the district retained property rights to, or the ability to construct a future reservoir on that site if they needed that in the future. The districts determined that they no longer need to locate a reservoir on that site. They actually have planned pressure zone improvements kind of towards the southeast and have found another parcel that's a little bit higher in elevation. It would be more cost effective for them to do that there. However, they still have a need to construct some infrastructure on the city's property, and that's what's being illustrated in the northwest corner. They have a need to construct a booster pump station and pressure reducing valve station. It's very common to locate that infrastructure on the same sites as water tanks. There's no conflicting use for that. And staff from both agencies reviewed what is proposed by the district and really determined, rather than the southwest portion of the site, it made more sense to locate it on the northwest. That's where there's a private street where a lot of infrastructure is coming into the site right now, and it really creates less encumbrance on the site. So as part of this property use and easement agreement, we're dissolving the 1991 agreement, or terminating the unexercised rights as part of that agreement, and also providing the district a property interest to construct its booster pump station and pressure reducing valve infrastructure. Once again, a package of 3 agreements. I'd say kudos to all the staff working on this, both from the district and the city. It's been a good process, very collaborative in the better part of a year, going through conversations. It's really being presented as a package, and we're recommending approval on all 3 items.
Thank you. Questions?
No questions for me?
Then first one.
Okay.
Chair, I move to adopt an ordinance amending Lake Meridian Water District's 2017 franchise with the city to recognize the district's name change and extend the franchise term.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the ordinance amending the franchise agreement and to recognize the name change. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Number 2.
Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the water service area boundary adjustment agreement between the city and Lake Meridian Water District, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign the paperwork for the water service area boundary adjustment agreement. And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And then for the third one.
Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the property use and easement agreement with Lake Meridian Water District and other documents necessary to fulfill the terms of this agreement, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the city attorney and public works director.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the mayor to sign all the paperwork to allow for the easements necessary. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And kudos, because I understand that there is also a considerable savings of possible built-out infrastructure that we might have had to pay for if we didn't do all of this.
Definitely a win-win for both organizations.
Good work.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us all the way down to the King County repledge. And Rowena Valencia Gica.
Good afternoon, everyone. So on behalf of King County, I'll be presenting to you the King County 3+ Pledge Program. And you may recall that in summer of 2022, King County staff presented the program already to this committee to provide us an overview of what this program is all about. So today I will just be briefly talking about the goals of the RE+ program, the roles of the cities, and the opportunities available for the cities to sign the pledge. And as King County puts it, RE+ is about reimagining a waste-free King County, because currently up to 70% of the King County waste is actually recyclable, and up to 75% of that can be prevented from going to the Cedar Hills landfill. And the major goal of the RE+ program is to achieve zero food waste going into the landfill by 2030 and to create a circular economy. Circular economy meaning that products can be designed for reuse for as long as possible, recycled into new materials, and to avoid for them to go to the landfill. And this can be made possible only by the concerted efforts of residents, businesses, cities, and the public in keeping materials of economic value in use for as long as possible and out of the landfill. So what are the 3+ actions? What you see here is just a snapshot of the actions that will be taken to reach the goal of zero waste, as well as an equitable and circular economy. It will involve securing commitments from businesses to be responsible for the product waste, and of course it also involves some changes on the policies, extensive community involvement, and collaboration. Additionally, the program offers grants which will be made available so that it will facilitate investment into new innovative waste production or innovative waste prevention, reuse and recycling projects that will be run by cities. So RE+ Pledge, one of the perks for signing up on RE+ is the opportunity to avail of grants that focus on prevention and reuse, recycling and composting, and equity and social justice. It will allow the county and partner cities to work together and streamline our efforts and work collaboratively towards standardized waste and recycling guidelines and practices. The program will also bring focus on climate change strategies such as reducing greenhouse gases, creating green jobs, and of course saving water and energy, just among the few. And by investing in RE+, we can all help extend the life of the Cedar Hills landfill beyond 2040. In fact, it's supposed to close by 2030, but it seems like it's not going to close by then because of the recycling programs that we have. And as a result, it will reduce long-term disposal costs of garbage and minimize environmental impacts. So as you can see, RE+ is a big change, and for it to be successful, it will require support, knowledge, and other resources from King County partners. By signing up on RE+, we support King County goal of zero waste and equitable and circular economy. Additionally, all actions that will be taken in support of the RE+ will result in many environmental and social benefits for our own city of Kent. I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments?
No?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard about this program at K4C meeting, and I'm very excited about it. But I think there's a lot of education that comes along. I think the city can probably use grants for our residents on how to recycle food waste, especially for our immigrant refugee communities. So I think it's a great program. So I'm very excited that we are thinking of joining this.
Thank you very much. And I know especially with some of the apartment buildings and even some of the businesses, although they don't do it to the degree that residential properties do, but food waste is a big deal, but just getting it separated, period. Getting the trash separated from what can be recycled, and then teaching people about that circle, about buying things that have that post-consumer content. All of that is very important. So we are very much in favor of this. So thank you very much. Did you have a comment?
I'm excited too.
So it's unanimous. Everybody up here is excited. So thank you very much, Rowena. So we are ready for a motion.
Chair, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the RE+ pledge to reduce climate impacts, conserve resources, create a healthier environment for our communities, and keep reusable materials out of landfill and in use as long as possible, subject to final terms and conditions acceptable to the Public Works Director and City Attorney.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to allow the mayor to authorize or to sign the RE+ pledge. Sign us up for that. And all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Let's do it. With that, we have Director Barron, who's going to let us know some information about some sidewalk prioritization.
Thank you, Chair Fincher. In months past, we've talked about sidewalks throughout the community, and this is also the time of year when we get a number of inquiries from high school students going through their civics classes, trying to get involved in the community, and we'll have requests for sidewalks. So I thought it'd be a good time to bring back the subject of sidewalks throughout the community and how they get there. I know for a lot of folks, obviously through our transportation master program and all of our planning, we try and encourage alternative transportation to just driving cars. Walking and rolling are important ways to get around, and doing that safely is very important for the whole community. One of our issues is that sidewalks, the capital expense of sidewalks from the beginning is fairly expensive, and so some folks are in neighborhoods that are fairly established and they have sidewalks, and they may wonder, how do these get here? Well, most of the time they were built with the neighborhood itself at the initial time of construction. Adding sidewalks after the fact is a lot more expensive than just doing it as the neighborhood's developed. So that's the thing that's been a standard, requiring sidewalks throughout a neighborhood for quite some time in the city. But there were a number of developments that were put in when portions of what are now in Kent or parts of King County, and those weren't required. So we have a number of neighborhoods where there aren't sidewalks. So if you want one, how do you get one? This is, I think, a lot of the questions that we get. Next slide, Karen. As I mentioned, obviously an essential way of getting around and something we very much encourage. Walking is so important, and rolling as well. You need to be able to get around on your bicycle, and if you've got families who want to go out and bicycle, doing that either in or right next to a very busy street can be pretty harrowing. So we did inventory this system as part of our 2021 TMP, and we started the framework for how we would prioritize adding sidewalk and closing missing links. Next slide, please. We're also, it's part of our local road safety plan, and as part of the grant, and David is in the audience, he may be able to help me. I'm trying to remember that when we brought the Safe Streets for All grant to committee. It's been just in the last couple of meetings. Part of that grant, we are going to go through a more robust prioritization of the sidewalk network, and that grant, the grant to do the plan, or the more robust plan for Safe Streets for All, also makes us available for more federal grants. So it's something that once we get the prioritization done, we're hoping that we'll be able to pick some links in the system that we could put together and close gaps. And that's really where we need to start, is in closing those critical gaps to get either between major housing areas and schools or parks, major attractions. David, do you remember the date, or roughly? Was it February?
The date that we received the notice from PSRC that we were part of the award.
Yeah, and we brought it to
We're currently
committee.
in the negotiation process, but January would have been probably the last time we spoke with full council about the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. But last year, we brought the application to the committee, to this committee, before we went after it.
And so we were successful in that application. Through our work with PSRC, we've got that money becoming available, and we'll start that prioritization process. As far as capital goes, we do have to keep up with our existing facilities, and folks who are out and about, they may notice a number of our sidewalks are in need of repair. Sidewalks age relatively well, but you get a sidewalk, depending on what's around it, trees, or if there are any kind of nearby drainage issues, we can have imperfections in the sidewalks, and we have to keep up with those. And that is the majority of our current dollars are spent on just keeping up our existing systems. So we don't have a capital fund per se for sidewalks. We do have a small amount of money we get through some development fees. And we obviously go forward and try and close gaps through programs like the Transportation Improvement Board, or like on 132nd, where we have completed sidewalks between 240th and 272nd in the last few years, and then currently under construction, the section of sidewalk on Russell Road and James Street, where we're closing the gap between Meeker and back over to the Lakes community. So we will look for opportunities to put in new sidewalks and close gaps where we can, but I would agree with, I think, sentiment that we've heard here on the committee, but also throughout the community. We'd love to do more. We'd love to have sidewalks throughout the entire community, and that's obviously the ultimate goal. But for right now, keeping up is kind of where we're at, along with creating a prioritization so we can try and go for grants to build more sidewalks. Thank you.
I know some of our residents would appreciate that explanation too, so thank you very much. With that, I believe we are done. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, meeting is adjourned. There's nothing else for the good of the order, meeting is adjourned.